I'm Jim Simpson. I was born in London, born in Westminster, evacuated during the war to Exeter. Then we got bombed out of Exeter and went back to London. Then they evacuated us to Bromsgrove, which was nice, close to where my grandparents were. And we stayed in Birmingham ever since. Black Country was where I was brought up. I found a band from Lichfield called Bakerloo Blues Line, which featured Dave Clemson on guitar. He was 16 years old, stunning player, still is a stunning player. Terry Poole, the bass player, was with Mayday and various other bands. John Hinks, the drummer, was with Judas Priest and Supertramp and various. It was a cracking band. We signed them, got them recorded for EMI's new underground label, as they were called then, which was Harvest. We packaged it, we got it gigs, we recorded the demos, and we took it to the majors. We had two bands on EMI Harvest. There was Tea and Symphony, a very strange band from Moseley. If ever Moseley had a band which represented Moseley, then that was Tea and Symphony. And to showcase the bands, I rented the upstairs room at the Crown on Station Street and Hill Street in Birmingham, called it Henry's Blues House. Tuesdays is Blues Days. Put on music there every week. We put on a lot of American blues things. Arthur Big Boy Crudup, for instance, played there. The one time he ever played Birmingham. He's the man that wrote That's All Right Now Mama, which was probably the first Elvis Presley hit, I think, before the Heartbreak Hotel. Dr. Ross, harmonica boss, who recorded for Sun Records in Memphis, Tennessee. Curtis Jones, Lightning Slim, Whispering Smith. Lots of great American players there, but also lots of British bands. We had a very young and unknown Status Quo several times. Rory Gallagher with Taste, and two members of Black Sabbath were early members of Henry's Blues House, and after a while they said, would I give them an intermission gig? And of course I did. After a while they said, would I manage them? I was an obvious choice of manager, I suppose, because at that time I think Locomotive's hit was the only hit out of Birmingham in that particular moment, so I was the obvious person to ask, and they hadn't had any work really. So I didn't like the name Earth, which is what they were called when they came to me. We argued about that for a while, and then I had a stroke of luck. I found there's a band in London called Earth. So I said, see, you've got to change your name. After all, because somebody else has got it, and they're in London. They've got a better chance of making it than us, so let's change our name. And then I found a second band called Earth, and that was it. So we decided to change the name. We banded lots of names around without getting anything we particularly liked. I used to work from my home, at my dining room at Portland Road, and we had regular weekly meetings at my house. And one day, Geezer put his head around the door and said, I've got the name, chaps. And we said, oh yeah, what is it this time? He said, Black Sabbath. And after a pause, we all said, yes, that's it. And from that moment on, I don't know what it was, having a name to what we were doing gave us a direction, gave us a sort of a path to follow. And that was the turning point. Geezer came up with this basic riff for the song Black Sabbath, and it all started falling into place. I think once we got a name we believed in, we all believed in the project that bit more. People had the wrong idea of Sabbath. They were very, very, very serious, dedicated kids. Ozzy, particularly. Ozzy was one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He was very, very sensitive, very keen to do the right thing, very keen to please. People think that the 60s were sex, drugs and rock and roll. Well, we had a lot of rock and roll, the rest we didn't play much of a part. We were very serious about it. After losing Sabbath, I decided I wasn't going to waste my energies by building up a band from nothing, only to lose it to a big London company. And I thought I would go back to the roots of the music which I enjoyed most. I try my best to avoid finding talented artists, because the financial and emotional obligation you take on is immense. Right now, with the record industry in the parlous state it is, it's very hard to justify taking on a new artist, but every now and then someone comes along who you just cannot let walk by. When talking about encouraging young artists, I always think of that lovely story of Clark Terry, who was walking through New York on the way to a gig, and some tourist said to him, excuse me, sir, can you tell me how you get to Carnegie Hall? And Clark said, practice, man, practice. Learn to play an instrument. Too many people think that they only have to play the instrument barely well enough to fulfill the concept they have in their mind of what music they should be producing. Or to play an instrument properly, you need to work 4, 5, or 6 hours a day. It doesn't come easy. It's harder now to play well than it ever was before.